Hi, I'm Jeff Shropshire with Shropshire Insurance of Texas, and I wanted to bring you up to date on kind of what's going on in the marketplace in regards to property and casualty insurance for personal lines, your home and auto insurance, and in the commercial lines industry for property and auto and all those good things. Right now, we have just finished the first quarter of 2026. We are seeing some changes in the marketplace that is great for the consumer, great for our customers. We're finding that when we talk about personal insurance on the homeowner side, we are seeing some softening in the pricing. Many of us have seen the deductible changes over the last couple of years. Many have gone from 1% to 2%. There's still some 1% available, believe it or not, out there in our office that we see. We're finding that carriers are starting to become more competitive on homeowners insurance. That, of course, is going to be dependent upon a few things of your own personal nature, your credit score, your loss history as well. But in general, we're seeing the idea that carriers are wanting to write new business. That's a very positive thing. So we think that this is a good time to contact us for your homeowner's insurance. Now for personal private auto, we are seeing some great discounts from a few of our carriers and are wanting to give some really good percentage. They've taken some rate decreases. They're wanting to write personal auto. So this is a good time to review your policies. Maybe you've been through a period of time where you've had to pull back on some of your coverage. Maybe you've just wanted to get through the hard market, which it has been very hard, but you're ready to see some savings. But I would advise you to go slow. Give us a holler. Let's talk about your personal insurance portfolio. And let's make sure that we don't jump overboard and we start losing coverages that you may need. But it is a very good time to review your personal insurance with us because you may be overinsured sometimes, and sometimes if you're underinsured now's a good time to get caught up without taking a hit to the pocketbook. So I'm very excited about what's going on in personal lines right now with Shropshire Insurance. I think that we're able now to help people more than just get them through the storm. So I think it's a great time for you to reach out to us if you're here in Texas to see if we can help you with your home and auto. Now on the personal line side, there's the landlord policies or the dwelling fire policies. That marketplace, I'm not seeing as much change. There are some carriers who are starting to get back into that business, but it's going to be a little bit slower because those risks in general are a little bit on the higher end for most carriers, and those will be some of the last that may come into the fold. I will tell you, if you have landlord policies and if they're not in admitted carriers or then they're in the surplus lines market, you may be seeing your premiums come down. However, I would caution you to remember that policies in the non-admitted or surplus lines marketplace are not standardized policies, and they can change from year to year. We've seen many in that side of the business where the premiums have come down, but we've seen an increase of endorsements that can really lower coverage and that can take away a lot of things that you might think are covered. So you have got to review those policies and ask your agent this question: what's not covered? Is a great question to ask on those policies. But if you're going to be in the personal lines, again, for your home and auto, give us a holler. Let's go through that and see how we can help you. Now, this is what we're learning about commercial insurance right now. It's very similar to personal lines insurance. When we're going to talk about your property coverage, the admitted carriers are a little bit slower on seeing major decreases in the premium, but we're seeing a lot of flattening. There is some that is taking a little bit of rate decrease, which is a wonderful sign, which means we're heading into a great direction. We're seeing some carriers that got way, I'd say kind of crazy on their replacement cost values, and they're now coming back and they're getting more comfortable with more of the traditional replacement cost valuations that some of our systems were projecting. So I think that that's a great thing for the majority of our commercial customers. We haven't seen any changes in wind and hail deductibles. Most of them have increased over the last 2 to 3 years, but we're seeing a stabilization in that area to where we're not really having to go higher unless there is some particular underwriting requirement for a certain building or location that warrants that. But in general, we're seeing a stabilization of property insurance, which I think is wonderful for our clients. I will say this, the same thing that I just said on the for the landlord policies. If your property, which many out here in West Texas and a lot throughout Texas, were moved from an admitted carrier to a non-admitted or surplus lines policy, you're going to see pretty strong rate decreases, sometimes up to 25, 35%. I've seen crazier numbers than that. However, it comes with a caveat. Many of the times when we've been reviewing these policies and then we see these wonderful decreases, just like on the personal line side, we're seeing some very, I wouldn't say scary, but I would say endorsements that are being added that take away coverage. You have to remember, if something goes down 35 to 45 to 50%, it may be a good deal. But many times it's going to be tied to other endorsements or other policy wording that may take away coverage and actually not pay on a claim. This is the time that you really need to have those policies reviewed, and you need to be very careful, because we're having customers get really excited about these lower premiums, and we are too. But at the same time, we're seeing some things that are not good on these policies that we at least need to know about or be aware of. So when you buy that policy, you're very comfortable with what's going on with the coverage side of things. But on the other side of property insurance, you have your liability coverages, which seem to be pretty stabilized throughout the marketplace. There's some areas where there's some decreases, but it's going to be a little bit more individualized on the type of business that you have and your loss experience as well. But we're on the liability side, it stabilizes, like I said, but there's even some increases in liability because there's just the amount of claims that are being presented now and the litigation that's involved. Any claim is more expensive now on a liability side than it used to be. So that's going to cause those rates to be a little slower coming down. But your particular risk, if you haven't had claims and you have great loss control measures in place, hey, you might see some decreases. So we would like that as well. And we also, like we do at our agency, we fight for underwriting credits, anything we can on an individualized basis for our clients. So we want that. The one area on commercial insurance that has not seen really any relief right now is mainly on the commercial auto side. The statistics for commercial auto is still really bad, honestly. The amount of claims that are occurring on the auto, and you've seen this throughout just driving around town, you'll see automobile accidents now almost everywhere. But with a commercial auto fleet, with what's going on in that marketplace, the amount of claims have stayed high. The cost of the claims have stayed high, and that can be attributed to many factors. The amount of technology, the cost to repair vehicles now is extraordinarily high, just because a bumper is not a bumper. For $800 or $300 now, it's thousands of dollars. Also, from a liability standpoint, the litigation standpoint of commercial auto claims has dramatically increased. The values of the claims have at least gone up, whether they're paying out more, but the expenses to defend the claims have gone up. So the carrier may not actually pay some of these outrageous settlements, but the expenses that they have, those count as well too, and the factor of rates and the way that insurance carriers and reinsurance carriers look at things. So if your business auto and your general liability rates are stable, if not going up a little bit, you can expect the same thing for your commercial umbrella policy, because they're all tied together since they stack on top of one another. But hopefully you'll be seeing some reliefs or some flattening of your property insurance. And again, those liability and auto rates are typically going to be stable, if not a little higher. But depending on your own personal account, you may see some relief in there. We hope you can get that. Workers' compensation is still very competitive. Workers' compensation's rates are extremely good for the client. So you should see stabilization or a little bit of decreases in those, of course, depending on your particular situation. If you have a high experience modifier or you have a lot of claims and you're having issues there, you might not see as much relief or any. But if you have had pretty clean record and you're doing all the safety measures in place, hey, look, you may save some money there. Well, that will help offset some of those. That's what Shropshire Insurance Texas wants to help you with your commercial insurance, because we look at the policy as a whole. So sometimes we can save you money here, but we can't save you there. But we look at it as an account. Can we save you money overall? At the same time, while we're making sure that your coverages are in place. And I would tell you that this is a year a lot of people started striking coverages down. I mean, I understand that because of expenses. But I think if you don't have, or if you should consider, our two coverages for sure would be your employment practices liability. That's going to be a policy that's used kind of like an HR policy in the areas of wrongful termination, sexual harassment, or discrimination claims. Those policies are still very competitive. Actually, we haven't seen a lot of changes, if anything at all, in those, but the risk and the exposure to having claims in that area are substantial. They've kind of gotten lost in that area because we've been all concerned about our property and our auto premiums being so high. But let's not forget about the type of claims that can readily happen and that can really cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to prevent. So employment practices is an area that the Shropshire Insurance of Texas, that's us, guys. We love to write that policy. We'll write it standalone for you. We don't have to be your agent on your other things. We'll write that, and we'll also write this other policy for your cyber insurance. Believe it or not, cyber claims have gone up. Cyber just gets more increased exposures all the time. However, more people have come into the marketplace with cyber. The marketplace is actually pretty stable in terms of insurance premium. The products mostly all differ. So kind of like what we talked about on the surplus lines, you need to make sure what that cyber policy covers, because it can differ, because many of them are non-standard policies. Our admitted carriers do offer cyber policies, but you really need to read those policies, and you need to understand the coverages and the sublimits that are involved. We hope that this brief update on your commercial and personal property and casualty, should hope this helps you. I think good things are coming into the future. We're hoping if we can get through, knock on wood, a good light storm season up here in the West Texas, Upper Texas part, and hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have any major storms or tropical storms down on the coast. Texas could start seeing a lot more relief in the future. But anyway, we hope that you've had a wonderful 2026 so far. Please contact us here at Shropshire Insurance of Texas for your personal and commercial needs. My team is ready to help you, and we hope you have a blessed day.